Why are 20-30-year-olds so depressed these days? I'm 45. We used to work to try to live a good life. Now we live to work, and most of the people that work the hardest and longest make the least. In fairness, it's not just them. Waves around at everything. I just always feel like I'm a week away from losing everything. I work my ass off. Sometimes 50 hours a week, and I can barely afford to live. And a lot of people say, you should do this or that. Stop doing what you're doing, but the fact is I'm working harder and longer than my parents ever had to. I shouldn't be doing this bad for how much effort I'm putting in. I'm doing more and receiving less, and they've even acknowledged that. But they can't help either, because times are getting so bad that they've even started to struggle. Underpaid. Overworked. Can't afford a house. Can't afford to get sick or get injured without going into debt. Not enough time for the hobbies that I love. What reason is there to not be depressed? Modern civilization is a soul-crushing hellscape. What do we have to look forward to? Social media, COVID-19 pandemic, mental health being normalized as a previously taboo subject. More awareness on mental health. We're faced with one of the most difficult employment environment, where our wages aren't high relatively compared to the price of housing, etc. More as afterthought. Lack of stable employment, the current political climate, consumer and materialism's rise. We grew up being promised the world. If we just worked hard and did the right things in school, and then the world determined that was a lie. Also, mental health is being focused on more. So everyone probably seems more depressed these days. I'd be surprised if the current batch of 10-20-year-olds aren't in a worse situation, given the pandemic that hit during vital developmental years. Because we will work our whole lives, never own anything, and die. Lack of meaning in life? They feel like they're just a cog in the machine. The internet is great. We're surrounded by so many people. We have access to so many resources. We are all connected. But we are all disposable. If you don't like someone, you don't have to be in the same chat room with them. You just ghost them and move on to the next. You can always just move on to the next person. The community is lost. Gestures wildly to everything. We make less money for more work. I can't find who said it, but a comedian once said something to the effect of, "We watched people jump out of burning towers on TV as kids, and then nothing got better." Y2K didn't deliver us into oblivion as promised. Imagine this. You were born in the early to mid-90s. The Cold War just ended. The internet is becoming widespread. The economy is looking the most promising it ever has. The world is entering what appears to be an era of unprecedented peace. And you're told that as long as you get a degree, you will live not only a good life but an easy life, where everything will be taken care of financially just by having a degree. You'll have a nice home, a partner, kids, 2 cars, and everything you need to live a comfortable life and retire early. Then the dot-com bust happens. 9/11 happens. Wars start to become more common. Your best friend gets killed in Afghanistan. The economy craters. You have a mountain of student debt and your field is oversaturated with talent. You'll never be able to afford a house. Dating doesn't make sense anymore. You'll never settle down. Pandemics start cropping up from time to time, and then you get hit with a big one. Your new best friend who moved to Canada from Ukraine moves back home to fight in a war in Izmia. The economy continues to crater and your field becomes ever more saturated with talent. The media landscape is a mess. Misinformation is running all over the place. Your cousin thinks the world is flat. Your aunt thinks Trudeau is trying to personally screw her over. White nationalism is on the rise. People can't separate fantasy from reality. Media is fine-tuned to be addictive and it's bad for our brains. Prawn is too easy to access in a population of vulnerable individuals and it's bad for our brains. There is no mystery. We were raised on a promise of a world that doesn't exist. Prepared for an unachievable life. Thrown into a system that is seemingly designed to screw us. Full of addicting, harmful and misleading media. Probably a combination of at least two of the following. Possibly all of them. Or even more things I couldn't think of offhand. The decline of the positive social structures previous generations had. First generation that grew up online and was most exposed to the dangers of the internet. The monetization of our attention spans driving internet traffic and the implementation of addictive algorithms to increase profits through any means necessary, including methods that can cause or encourage mental illnesses. Our country has been at war throughout our entire lives, resulting in grief from lost loved ones, PTSD for many of those that served, and large-scale media coverage of death and destruction on a constant basis. Grew up during a financial crisis. Reached adulthood during a financial crisis. Hit the age where you should start thinking about settling down during a financial crisis. Drugs winning the war on drugs leading to either addiction, trauma caused by a loved one's addiction, or grief over a loved one that died from addiction. The introduction of toxic garbage like microplastics, high concentrations of sugar, and corn syrup to our food supply during childhood. The boomer generation's stranglehold on political and economic power, which has led to terrible policy decisions that become permanent and negatively affect the domestic economy. The gutting of our domestic economy by the Federal Reserve, major corporations, Wall Street, and the establishment uniparty hiding behind partisanship, which has negative impacts on wages and cost of living. A lack of purpose caused by social and cultural decay combined with helicopter parents. The steady increase of divorce rates throughout our lives, especially during our childhoods. 26 here. I'm depressed because our generation has nothing to look forward to. Our parents and grandparents used to work to save money to buy a house and such. They worked and actually built up their life. I work 40 hours a week, pay my bills, and my wage is for 90% gone. The money we work for all the time isn't worth anything anymore. We're just working to survive another month, not building anything in our lives. Because today's economy can't. Inflation made prices go up, and shrinkflation made the goods you get for your money smaller. Everything is fake. There's a 9/10 chance you've eaten something today that has some chemical in it. Capitalism makes us work harder and harder. And faster and faster. I have to give all I've got. Every single day at work needs to be top-level performance. I'm tired all the time because of work. And I can't even afford to turn on the heating in my house because I'm too poor. And guess what? Life is getting more expensive by the week. So I have about 40 years to live like this. Or worse. I want to do something with my life. But I'm way too exhausted by a productivity-based civilization. And even if I'd have the energy, there's no money in a world that's all and only about the economy. I've spent almost whole summer inside, either working or resting because of work, knowing there's rich people that travel the world, not worrying all the time. They're tired of doing fun things. I'm tired from making my boss and politicians rich. It's a different kind of tired. I don't need millions. I just need something healthier than a tight work, pay, eat, sleep, repeat routine. And I'd be okay with working like this if I'd actually benefit from it. Have 20-30-year-olds not always been depressed throughout history?
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.